Thank you, Chairman Thune. And I know Senator Gardner's not here, but I have the same issue in terms of New Mexicans watching television in another state. And so I hope we can.
They don't want to watch the Broncos, is what you're saying.
Working with them on that. Yeah, well, this week marks the 15th anniversary of the tragic terrorist attacks of September 11th, a day that is seared, I think, into our nation's history. We'll never forget the heroic first responders who ran to the rescue. Sadly, radio interoperability problems led to further loss of life. And this should remind us that our nation's communications networks do more than just let us call someone, watch TV, or shop online. In emergency situations, our communication networks save lives. And you all, as commissioners, know that very well. We should keep that broader perspective in mind as we debate communications policy in this committee and at the FCC. Commissioner Clyburn, I really appreciate your visit to New Mexico and the Navajo Nation last month, and thank you earlier for reading a New Mexican's letter about broadband. We had a tragic incident happen on the Navajo reservation following the abduction and death of 11-year-old Ashland Mike near Shiprock, New Mexico on the Navajo Nation. The Navajo Nation moved to put an Amber Alert system in place, but this won't work in areas without wireless service. And this is just one example of how the digital divide impacts those living on tribal lands. And so, Chairman Wheeler, I have other questions for the record, but I now want to ask each of you a yes or no question. In my home state of New Mexico, 80% of those living on tribal lands do not have access to broadband. 4 out of 5 people without broadband access. I find that appalling. So I'd like to ask a simple yes or no. Will you support Chairman Wheeler's effort to take action this year to address the digital divide on tribal lands? Why don't we start with you, Commissioner Clyburn?
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I don't know what his plan is, but I'm in favor of solving the issue, yes.
Good. Well, we want to work with you on that.
Yes.
Commissioner? Yeah.
Yes, Senator.
Yeah. And obviously, yeah,
And
please, please say a few words here about.
Let me hang my head here for a minute, because at a previous hearing, I told you this would be taken care of by football season.
Yeah.
We're in football season. We are going to deal with this, sir. We will deal with it before the end of football season. But as you've heard my colleagues' support for doing this, dealing with rate of return carriers and how do we make sure that there are sufficient rate of return opportunities on tribal lands, yes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Wheeler, for your commitment to this. Commissioner Rosenworcel, we met with students when you were in New Mexico at Hatch, New Mexico, who do homework in the parking lot or at a Pickwick store where there's free Wi-Fi. We need to close this homework gap facing students who come from rural and low-income families. Jonah Madrid, a varsity football player at Hatch Valley High School, had a bright idea. Jonah told us there should be Wi-Fi available on the school bus. That would help him do homework when his team travels long distance for games. Schools currently receive E-rate support for internet access at school, but not on their buses. Do you agree that Wi-Fi on school buses could help close the homework gap, and should this be eligible for E-rate support?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me in Hatch, New Mexico. It was a treat. And I still remember that football player, this high school student who told me in rural New Mexico, he would take the bus an hour and a half out to play games and an hour and a half back at night, and then sit there in the pitch black darkness of the school parking lot with his device, because it was the only way he could get his homework done. It seems to me that that's trying too hard, and we should be able to help him. And I think we should use the E-rate program to help make sure that their school buses are wireless buses and have Wi-Fi on wheels.
Great, thank you. I don't know if any other commissioners have a thought on that.
Far be it from me to question Commissioner Rosenworcel on the homework gap.
Okay.
I like that.
I'd only suggest that it may require a change in statute. And it may not be something that we're allowed to do in the current provision, but that doesn't mean, I'm not sure that, and I'm also, quite frankly, it's the first time I know that this may be the best solution. There may be other opportunities to help this particular individual or those that are in the situation. So I'm not sure that's the best solution, but I'm open to solving the problem.
Okay, we'll share our authorities with you that I think indicate that there is an ability to do this. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman Thune.